Hey, thanks for tuning into the podcast, either on YouTube or Spotify. You're listening to Breached Minds. I'm your host, Moonie Grey. This is going to be a 5-episode or 5-part mini-series where I dive into what perfectionism is, right? What it means to be a perfectionist. And so the mini-series is called Perfectionism, the Beautiful Cage, right? Because if you think about it, being a perfectionist, it's crippling. It might not be crippling for everybody. For some people, it allows them to, be successful and be number one. But for others, it keeps them doing the things that they really want to do. So episode 1, right? It's called The Cage You Didn't Know That You Built, right? And the theme for this is basically an overview of what perfectionism is and why it matters to begin with. Being a perfectionist is a blessing, a curse, or somewhere in between. So that is the main question for this mini series that we are going to dive into, that we're going to really just try to breach the walls of our minds and get down to the bottom of: is being a perfectionist a blessing, a curse, or kind of somewhere in between, right? Can we leverage being a perfectionist? This topic is near and dear to my heart because I struggle with being a perfectionist. Just me alone, just sitting in front of the camera, finally recording video. I mean, I'm talking like for weeks and weeks. I'm writing out scripts that now I'm not even reading, right? I have all these different ideas, and I just have 50 million ideas, and I'm writing them all down, and I'm just so excited, but I don't have the perfect product yet. Therefore, I haven't produced anything, right? So I've been seeing a lot of posts on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram. I mean, pretty much any platform that I'm on right now, my algorithm has been shifting, right? You know how the algorithm works. The more that you look at something, the more it's going to show you, right? And so I've really been trying to shift my mindset to where I want to be proactive, right? I want to act. I don't want to dream. I don't want to dream anymore, right? And I know that there's some other people out there that are experiencing the exact same thing that I'm experiencing, right? Like, you have all these dreams and these aspirations, and you want to do this and you want to do that, but you never do it. You never do it. Why? Because you want the perfect product. And I won't get too deep into it. All right, let's see. All right, so segment 1, we're really gonna dive into what is a perfectionist, right? Or what is perfectionism, or perfectionism? I don't know. You get what I'm saying, right? All right, so if we look at the definition, right? So perfectionism is a personality trait characterized by the tendency to set unrealistically high standards for oneself or onto others, resulting in a perceived level of self-worth to be tied to flawless performance and mistakes, seen as failures as opposed to lessons to be learned. So in other words, right, it's just saying that being a perfectionist means that you have these extremely unrealistic high standards that you place on yourself and other people around you. And instead of seeing the mistakes that you make as lessons that you can learn from, you see it as that's your whole personality, right? That's your entire being. That's who you are. And your success stories, those are what equate to how worthy you are, right? How much value you have. So that right there alone is just talking about what being a perfectionist is. That's not even getting into the meat and the potatoes of everything yet, right? And so something else that I've come across, just looking into like what it means to really just be a perfectionist and perfectionism and stuff like that, because I experienced it on my day-to-day life. And so something else that I came across is, so perfectionism, it's not necessarily a psychological disorder. Although it may feel like it sometimes, it can be linked to mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder. I mean, so I'll give like a personal example, right? When it comes to work, so a little bit about me, right? Some of my background. I started in the military for the past 10 years, soon to get out at the end of this year. one of the jobs that I had, right? One of the roles that I had in the military was I was a supervisor, right? I was a squad leader. It means you are a NCO. NCO meaning non-commissioned officer. Translate NCO over, it just means I was a supervisor of like 10 people or more, right? So fast forward. And so like when you are an NCO, you have this, not every NCO has this. I just gotta put that out there. But as an NCO, when you really care and you want to strive for the best, right? You want to be the best. You want to improve all the time. You want to be on top, right? It starts to get cutthroat. Straight up, it starts to get cutthroat, gets real toxic sometimes. And basically what happens is, at least for a person like me, right, you start to feel like, okay, if I'm not on top, if I'm not number one, what am I doing? Why am I here? Right? Because you start to put that unnecessary stress and pressure on yourself. And that's something that I experienced for a very long time, right? Just wanting to be perfect. And when it comes down to, so as an NCO, right, once a year you get this evaluation report on you, right? And basically it kind of outlines, your success and your failures, right? What you did for that whole year as a leader or what you failed to do. And this is the part where I'm saying like it gets cutthroat, right? And so basically, like if I wasn't number one, if I wasn't on top, if I wasn't rated number one, number two, number three, number four, out of X amount of people, right? Then it's like now I don't feel as worthy because I failed this, I failed to do that. Or maybe it wasn't even a failure. Maybe it was just needs improvement here, should work on this here. And now all of a sudden, I'm adding on all this extra stress, all this extra pressure. For what? For what? Right? But for those that, for those of you who, experience the same thing that I experienced, being a perfectionist, it could take a toll. Sometimes it even comes down to the fact that like maybe you don't even want to accept constructive criticism. You say, oh yes, I can accept constructive criticism. You say you can, but when you actually receive it, you get offended. You got to defend yourself, right? And that's something I experienced myself, and that's just one example. I mean, we're not even talking about relationships. We're not even talking about just those who just simply want to be creative, right? This is something that can actually creep into many different parts of our lives, and you just sometimes you might not even realize it. I didn't realize that I was a perfectionist for many years. I didn't understand why I would have these highs and these lows. When I'm on top, everything is good, life is good. But then when it comes down to like, oh, I made a mistake here, now it's like I completely just spiraled. And that's what I really want to dive into in this mini series. So if you're listening and you have some personal examples of how being a perfectionist has affected your personal life, I would absolutely love to read them. If you don't mind leaving it in the comments, and share some of those stories. And I'd like to actually share the stories that you leave behind in the comments in next week's episode. Segment 2, moving into why it's worth talking about, right? So personally, I think that talking about perfectionism or being a perfectionist, it's worth talking about simply because it brings awareness, right? Like I said in segment 1, I personally didn't know for a very long time that I was, in fact, still currently am a perfectionist, right? And so, kind of just bringing that awareness, maybe you out there listening right now, you're like, okay, I heard the definition. I relate to that. That's something that I experienced myself, and so I think that bringing awareness it's good. And also with that awareness also comes self-compassion, right? Because when you're dealing with being this perfectionist, you already add this extra stress. You already add this extra pressure on yourself, right? Which means you probably beat yourself up a lot. I know I have for quite some time. I still experience it. We have to learn as perfectionists to be kind to ourselves. And it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy whatsoever. And you won't get it overnight. You won't. Like, this has been an ongoing learning curve for me, being nice to myself, really understanding that, hey, like, this is the personality trait that I have, right? And it's kind of like, turning lemons into lemonade, right? I'm not gonna sit here and beat myself up because I'm this perfectionist, right? And it's like it's ruining my life, like, nothing crazy like that, but simply like, okay, this is what I'm working with. How can I use this very strong trait that I have and turn it into a weapon that I can use to be successful, right? You weaponize that thing so it doesn't cripple you. And so that kind of moves me right into my next point in this segment is there are some people out there right now that are experiencing crippling perfectionism or perfectionism. I'm eventually going to get that word right. I've had all these great ideas. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this one day and I'm going to do that and I'm going to start doing this on YouTube and I'm going to start doing this and doing that and I'm going to record these kinds of videos. But because I could never come up with this perfect product, I never posted it. Never did. And I'm just sitting here and I'm letting opportunities just go by. I'm squandering opportunities because I'm waiting to have a perfect product. How being a perfectionist can really help you be successful, how you can use it as a tool as opposed to letting it hold you in captivity. But before we get into that, if you're really enjoying the show, or if you think it's utter trash, please let me know by clicking the like or dislike button that's down below, sharing and reposting this video, and leaving your strong opinions down in the comments. It really helps me out a lot. Okay, so earlier I mentioned that, just having that awareness, right, can help to bring a sense of self-compassion, right? So I actually would like to go over some telltale signs that you may actually be a perfectionist. Number one, you have unrealistic standard. It's almost too ambitious, right? There's no mountain that you can't climb kind of thing, right? You can do no wrong. And that can really, really take a toll. It really can. So another telltale sign would be an overgeneralization, right? So maybe how a perfectionist may process a mistake is, well, I messed up this one time. Yeah, I made this mistake one time, and I always mess up, right? So now you really start to pivot, right? And it's almost like you take away the validation that you can give yourself and like, okay, I made a mistake, but I can improve, as opposed to, well, now it's like you need other people's validation just to know that you're doing good, right? Something I've struggled with quite a bit. And it's hard, right? It's not everybody has it in them, right? For example, my wife, she doesn't need anybody to give her validation whatsoever. She knows she's doing good. She knows she looks good. Like she doesn't need a pat on the back, right? Her upbringing was different from mine. For me, it's like I need that little extra support, right? I need that little extra, hey, you got it. You can do this, right? And that's okay. But feeling like you need that constantly just to be successful definitely is something worth identifying and working on, 100%. Um, so the next one would be compulsive behavior. So with compulsive behavior, right? So that could be maybe, you're always cleaning, you're always rearranging things, right? It's little small things that are in the details of what a perfectionist will do, right? You have a stack of papers, and it's like you can't just leave the stack of papers, just slightly, shifted, right? You have to stack them up. So it's little things like that. Another thing would be catastrophic thinking, right? Um, when minor mistakes feel like major disasters. Again, it's that added stress, it's that added pressure. Um, and it's like it's not coming from anybody else. It's all internal. It's us putting it on ourselves as perfectionists. Another one is reassurance seeking, right? And that kind of goes back to one of the points from earlier, right? That validation portion. You just have these unrealistic standards, right? And when you fail to meet those unrealistically high standards, and now you're like, okay, well, now you're placing your worth into this box, and it's getting smushed down, and now you're seeking that validation from other people just to know, like, hey, like, I'm doing good, I'm doing okay. And it's like, you just kind of throw in the towel. If you don't get that validation, you start to just crumble. Another point would be excessive procrastination. So here it says procrastinators who delay starting or completing tasks are often closet perfectionists. Most people postpone dieting or saving, for example, because the time is never quite right. So I have that bad. And if you have that bad too, I want to know about it. I want you to leave a comment down below and let me know if you experience any of those things that I listed. But let's talk about excessive procrastination, right? So, let alone, right? Prime example was me doing this video, right? Because I don't have the perfect product. I seen a picture, and it's a common theme. I've been seeing it over and over and over again. My algorithm is really doing its thing. And so basically what it comes down to, there's this picture, and if I remember to put it in, I'll put it in. But basically, like, okay, so there's two ladders, right? There's two ladders. There's a ladder on the left and a ladder on the right side. Ladder on the right side is a hot mess, right? The boards are crooked. It looks like someone just kind of just did like a bum rush job on it, but the ladder was a finished product. Then you have the ladder on the other side, and it only had two slates on it. The lines were straight, it was perfect, and then on the side of that ladder were the rest of the slates, just sitting there, right? And so when you put those ladders side by side, you're like, okay, you have a finished product that looks a hot mess, and you have an unfinished product that looks like it's on the cusp of something beautiful, right? A perfect product. But when you look at the two, at the end of the day, the messed up ladder is the ladder that is finished. It may not be a perfect product, but it's done, right? And so what I'm getting to is the common theme is stop waiting for the perfect product. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I'm preaching to the choir here, right? But if you can just put that product out there, it's a start, right? Starting a hot mess is better than not having anything at all and having all those opportunities just pass you by, right? And so, I'm hoping that somebody out there is really resonating with this message. And I hope that, just bringing that awareness really does help somebody out there. And so that kind of brings us into segment 3, right? What are the hidden costs of being a perfectionist? And so basically what we really want to talk about is how perfectionism can quietly sabotage growth, joy, and authenticity, right? And so when we talk about sabotage, right? It's really self-sabotage. You know, it's this internalized pressure. It's this internalized stress that we put on ourselves to have the perfect product every single time with no mistakes, no flaws. And quite frankly, that's going to start to take a toll. That is going to start to really play a critical role in the downfall of your mental health, right? Because it's too much stress. The body can only take but so much stress. But if you start to really just accept that, hey, my failures don't make me who I am. My failures are just lessons that need to be learned so that way I can be better the next time. And for some, that may be common sense. But if anybody out there is like me, first of all, I'm hard-headed, right? I'm a very stubborn person. I am, you got your yes man, well, I'm your no man. Like, I'm quick to say no, and I will stand on it until I'm blue in the face, right? But the thing is, it's okay to just let go sometimes, right? And some people need to hear that. I had to hear that, right? Your mistakes don't make you who you are. They make you fall on your face so you can learn lessons behind it and become a better version of yourself for tomorrow. That's all it is, right? And it's okay to accept that. And it's not easy. Like I said, it's not going to come overnight. Those things take time. It's a learning lesson. It's a learning curve. It's a daily thing. You have to coach yourself daily. Like, it's okay for me to make mistakes. I don't have to be perfect. Me not being perfect doesn't mean that I am not worth anything. That doesn't affect my worth. My mistakes don't make me any less valuable than I was the day before when I had no mistakes at all. And so I think once we start to really peel back those onions, right, and we really start to accept that, hey, it's okay, I don't have to be a perfectionist in this and this and this, we start to recover that joy that was lost, right? We start to find happiness in going after projects. Whether it's at work and you want to take the initiative to do something, well, now you're not reluctant because you're not trying to create this perfect product and trying to be this perfect person, this perfect employee, but rather you're like, okay, I'm going to take initiative. This is something that I'm interested, I want to do it, and you just go for it and just see what happens. So if you agree with any of the information that I've discussed so far, feel free to leave a like, leave a dislike. Either way, it helps the channel grow. Gives me feedback on what you guys want to hear. And if you absolutely disagree with my stance on, whether or not, being a perfectionist is a good thing or a bad thing, definitely let me know. Consider sharing and reposting, and leave your opinions, your strong opinions, down in the comments. And so, okay, so my stance, right? My stance on this is that being a perfectionist, it's like a double-edged sword, right? I think it can be helpful, but I think it can also be your downfall. Because being a perfectionist has been the number one driver for me for many, many years. And mind you, yes, I can list all of my success stories, right? I can just talk about it. But I also have a list of where being a perfectionist has made me hit my lowest points. My lowest points in life. I'm talking I'm breaking down crying. I'm on the floor. I just feel like I'm worthless, right? Where I'm needing, support from my family. I'm needing that reassurance, that external reassurance from my family to let me know, hey, you are worth it, right? And And that's why this topic is really near and dear to my heart. So, like I said, if any of this resonates with you, please feel free to let me know what you think down in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion and actually share some of the things that you all comment in next week's episode. I'm your host, Moonie Grey, and this has been Breached Minds. Till next time.